Alrighty.
Hey everybody.
Hello, hello.
How you doing? All right, I love it. I love it. Michaela J, thanks for coming.
Of course, of course.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. It's good to see you. It's good to be here. It's my first time in Texas.
We were just talking backstage,
Yeah.
and you're actually a singer first, before an actress.
I am.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I started out in the car, in the backseat of my mama's car at 1 year old, and she said, "Oh, she can sing. We got to put her in something." So that's how it kind of all got started. And
That's amazing. It's so great. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about transformation and change.
Yes.
A lot of that needs to happen.
I think so. I think most importantly, it definitely needs to happen.
Good. Well, we're trying to do it within the Recording Academy, and our hope is that it can signal a change for the rest of the entertainment industry. I know you've been driving some really important transformation and change in Hollywood as well with what you've done, so I look forward to talking about that. But there's a lot that needs to happen still going forward. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we're going to address some of that. We're going to take it in kind of three sections.
Okay.
The past, what's happened before, what's happening now, and what we're going to do in the future.
Right.
So starting off with a little bit of the past.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the past.
Me either. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we could have fixed in the past, for sure.
Yeah, and it just seems like things were so different, and it's just such a different perspective, and we've come a long ways, but then again, maybe we haven't. So let's figure it out.
Yeah.
I know in Hollywood, I grew up here, and I saw things in Hollywood and how things worked in the entertainment industry. There was definitely biases, gender biases, age biases, many different biases. What was your experience when you first got to LA or started in the entertainment industry?
You know, I was always someone that really kept my head focused, but there were times where I've gotten, off kilter, and I saw a lot of things when it came to gender equality. That was the main focus for me. I didn't see a lot of women in places that I thought I should see them. I didn't see a lot of trans women of color in places that I thought I should have seen, and I thought it was a great reflection of what was happening in the past, what a lot of people didn't know about or didn't have the understanding of, and, hopefully that can change soon.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for it.
Yeah.
We've had controversy at the Recording Academy about, there's been quite a few subjects, but in the recent past, I would say there was some questions about genre equality, gender equality, making sure there was representation at all levels, whether that's membership, staff, the board, things like that. So those are things in our recent past that we've had to deal with that we're definitely working on, and we've made a lot of strides there.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about just kind of some perspective on how it is to be in the industry, facing the things that you might have faced as challenges coming up.
I'm sure you can understand too, being, newly CEO, that's an amazing feat, and I congratulate you on that. But I'm sure you understand what comes with being in a position like this is also just seeing things around you, trying to maneuver in spaces that you've never been before. I'm a person of many intersectionalities, right? So I have to navigate through each and every last one of those. And it's quite, trying sometimes.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
You've got all the intersectionalities layered on top of each other.
Yes, every single last one. And you have to speak to every single last one too. You know?
And I'm sure you've heard about every last one of them.
Oh yeah, I definitely have heard every single last story about them.
Who are some of the people that inspired you to live your truth?
I mean, I feel like I say this every single time, but the number one person who inspires me to just live my truth is my mother. I mean, she is the epitome of womanhood to me, Black womanhood to me. And, she gave me my stripes of womanhood, so nobody else can tell me anything.
That's
you know what I mean? But she's the first, and then many musical artists that I've looked up to, Gladys Knight and Shaka Khan and, Aretha Franklin and Etta James, and the list can go on. My mama raised me well. But yeah, those are some of the few.
So you were raised on some icons.
I definitely was.
Legendary singers.
For sure.
Well, your music is great too, by the way. We hear all about your acting, but the music is really great.
Thank you, and I cannot wait until people hear what I have next.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm in the studio.
Bring that sound back.
Trying to make sure there's live instrumentation and something mixed with a little bit of pop, pop R&B princess.
Yeah, I'm definitely for it. Looking back in the recent history of the Recording Academy, in 2020, there were some things that were called into question about what we did.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the truth versus reality a little bit. We had some questions about voting, some questions about who was leading our organization, who was going to lead it going forward, asking certain things about nominations and how we came to nominations.
Yeah.
And I think it is a lot about knowing the history of where we've come as an academy. And there have been things in the past that weren't dealt with,
Right.
things of representation and equitable outcomes for different groups and constituencies. Something that we had to deal with was around voting and
Yeah.
figuring out how do we make sure our voting is as transparent as it can be. And so there's no question, no ambiguity about how we got to the results we got to. And one of the things we found was, and this is one of the reasons why voting was coming into question, because the right winners weren't always getting the nominations, or people felt they weren't, and
Right.
they felt that they weren't getting the right wins or nominations. So we started looking at who was doing the voting. And it goes a little bit towards what this topic of our conversation today, change and transformation and equity. The voting body was made up of a very specific, very narrow group of people. And for us at the Recording Academy, our awards are based on peer vote.
Right.
Every award is voted on by your peers.
Right.
So if you're a singer, they're evaluating you from a professional standpoint, not a popularity standpoint, not how many spins you got, how many streams you got, where you charted. It's all about evaluating you on the quality of your work. But we started to look in 2020 around who was doing that evaluating. What was the membership made up of? How many women, how many men, how many black, how many white, how many country, how many banjo players,
Right.
everything we had to look at to make sure that we had a representative voting body. And come to find out, I'm sure you can guess with no surprise, it was not representing the music industry
Right.
as we knew it. So something that we started doing, and we've been working on it over time, but voting reform and changing our membership started in earnest quite some time ago, but in 2020 we made some really, really big steps to make sure that we brought a more balanced and more representative body forward to do the voting, to do the listening and the evaluating and the deciding who was going to get a Grammy award. For us, that's a big deal. You know, you want a Grammy, right?
I do.
I want one too. I love
One and
it.
the same.
We'll talk a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, Michaela, about acceptance of the trans community in the music industry. How have you seen that?
You know, I mean, there's obviously more work to do when it comes to the trans community in general, but I do see a lot of change happening. One of the proud moments that I can say about highlighting a trans artist is Kim Petras. She's out here doing such amazing work. She's
Yeah.
a trans girl, and she has an extensive body of work that we've never seen before by a trans artist before.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to mention, you know, that's my girl up there. I want to be along with her, you know what I mean? She's actually inspiring me
Yeah.
to actually be alongside that. So that's the change that's happening. I would say though, it would be lovely to have another girl next to her or a couple of girls next to her in different diasporas.
Yeah,
Yes,
well, there you
I
go.
myself. But yeah, to see the differentiations, you know.
Well, you're touching on something that's so important, and that is seeing somebody
Yeah.
that you can aspire to,
Yeah.
or that you can relate to even.
Yeah.
So is that what you hope to be doing? And I think I will tell you, you probably won't acknowledge it for yourself, but that is what you're doing, by the way, is you're giving a lot of people something to look up to and a lot of people to use as an example. And I think it's pretty amazing what you've done and what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to. I mean, you know, I'm human, so.
You probably just want to be normal, but you're not. You're famous.
It's true. Oh God, that is actually a true thing, and it's kind of every single day I'm just like, wow, I wake up and this is my life. Like this is
Yeah.
actually my life.
It's very cool what you're doing. So what about your fans? What do you hear from your fans? What kind of support are you getting?
There's so much support from my fans. I mean, and I'm sure you can understand this being in the position that you're in, but there's so much just words that you never really would expect to hear from younger groups of individuals who haven't had the type of representation like myself.
Right.
They'll say, I've never seen a person who looks like me. And when they say looks like me, it means completely the skin complexion, you know, the color of my skin. No one has ever seen a woman in my position like this on the level that I've been. And it's really good to actually hear somebody say it in that retrospective, and all of the other women who were also on the show with me.
Yeah.
But and also just to know that I'm someone that they can look to and that they can actually emulate themselves afterwards, and know that I have a responsibility and know that I'm going to try my best to fulfill it the best way I can.
So great. And the support from other actors, actresses, musicians, artists.
Yeah.
Everything's been great, right?
It's been really, really good. A lot of great reception in the world of acting that I never thought before. Like I said, waking up in the morning, I'm astounded by how far we've come as a community and the spaces that we can actually hold together. So, yeah.
Anything that's been really difficult, any hard times you want to share just for inspiration and make people realize that it's not an individual thing?
Yeah, I mean, as a human being, you always have insecurities, especially when you get to a platform like this, and you're literally in the spotlight of everyone.
Seat.
Yeah, the hot seat, if you will.
Yeah.
Around the world, you have all of these thoughts and all of these things that you want to accomplish to make everyone happy, and you also know that you're human. So that's definitely something within me that I'm just like, you gotta balance it out, girl.
That's hard. Well, talking about the hot seat, I consider us at the Recording Academy to always be on the hot seat. That's how I operate. I think it's best if we can function like we're always trying to accomplish the next thing.
Yeah.
Never being content is something that I think we've been doing lately. And while we've been on the hot seat, we've been trying to really make big change. And I'm a strong believer and a proponent of the power of music. Yeah. Just like you are, I think, as an art form, music or acting or entertainment in general can really be something that changes opinions and changes minds and opens people's eyes.
Yeah.
And there's a sympathy and an empathy that goes along with listening to music or seeing a great performance or hearing a singer or an actress do something amazing. So through the Academy, what we've been doing is really trying to use the power of music and use the power of the Grammys to make changes, to make transformative, wholesale, meaningful, long-lasting changes. And we're doing that through music.
Yeah.
So being able to partner with great organizations. We just did a partnership with GLAAD, which was amazing.
Yeah.
We have got some amazing initiatives working with them that I'm really excited about. We just released a Women in the Mix music study that really took a survey of 1,300 working women in the music industry to really find out, listen and learn what were some of the issues that they were dealing with, what were they going through to be women in music specifically, but in entertainment.
Yeah.
And we learned so much from this study, and you're talking a little bit about it, but just thinking about the decision people have to make, whether they're gonna have a family or have a career in music, or 77% of women felt discriminated against because of their gender. And that's just, it's not acceptable.
No.
It's not acceptable. The other thing that we've been doing since we've been on the hot seat is really trying to look at how we can push out some of the initiatives we're doing. So we just started, we used an inclusion writer for our Grammy show this year. So the Grammy show is on April 3rd. You're gonna watch, right?
Oh, I'm gonna probably be there.
Okay, you're gonna be there, even better. We'll have some fun. But April 3rd is our show, and we're doing this show and producing it under an inclusion writer, which basically sets certain standards and parameters for us in front of the camera, behind the camera, on the stage, behind the stage, for everything that we're doing. And we're collecting the data, and we're going to analyze the data, and we're going to hold ourselves accountable as an academy to make sure that the right people are doing the right jobs in an equitable and fair way. So this is the first major music show to do that. And our hope is that we can use this as an example and a springboard for other shows or other organizations to start using an inclusion writer to make sure they're doing things the right way.
Yeah, I feel like that's the first thing. It's great hearing that, because the first thing you start with is accountability. And I have to say this, looking at a magazine where you are right there and then seeing a woman who's a president and seeing another colleague alongside of you, that's just the start of diversity right there. So I can only imagine the beautiful things that are happening.
It's a different look, right?
Oh yeah, but it's a good one. At least I'm gonna say, it's a great one.
What are your feelings as far as underrepresentation, what you're seeing around Hollywood? It seems the pendulum is starting to swing, or what do you think?
My feelings about it have kind of still stayed the same. I still want to see more work. I still need to see for myself, representation on multitudes and levels. Not too many women are represented in the right ways, nor Black trans women, nor people who are a part of the LGBTQAI community. It's only a select few. And yes, I know that being in this industry, it doesn't come to everyone, right? But there is a small pool. And when it comes to percentages, whether it be in acting or singing, there needs to be some kind of even space for everyone to play in, right? An even playing field. Right. And there's not an even playing field that much. So I'm gonna try to change that, hopefully.
I think you're changing it. I think you're changing it. I find in Hollywood, there is a lot more opportunity than there's been in the past.
Yeah.
Would you say that's true?
Oh yeah, there's definitely more opportunity than there was. I mean, back in the day, Black entertainers weren't even able to have their feet or our feet on the ground. You know, we had to fight hard for that, and now, look at us now, we're thriving.
We're on stage.
Yeah, period.
They're like looking at us like, you crazy? No, I think it's an exciting time, and I do think the opportunities are more plentiful than they've ever been. I think the stories and the opportunity to tell diverse stories as far as the entertainment side and the Hollywood side is probably, I don't think there's ever been a time like this.
No, there hasn't. I mean,
Feels good.
it does feel good when you see the liberation and when you see whole movements taking place while a pandemic is going on. You know that there's something under there, like rumbling.
So talk a little bit about looking outside of the music industry or the entertainment industry for inspiration or things that you're seeing changing. How are you being affected? What other movements are you seeing happening? Anything exciting?
A lot of exciting things. I mean, I went back home for Fashion Week, and it had been a while since I've been back in Newark, New Jersey, which I'm born and raised from, Brick City all day.
The bricks?
Yeah, Brick City. Oh my God, you know. That just made me really happy. But I went back, and you know, I grew up there all my life. I was 14 years old growing up there. Well, actually younger than that, but at an age of 14 where my mind was developing and I was seeing things, it was a hard life. It was a hard life being over there. And then to go back and see so many things that have changed, see the community thriving, but also see the community learning around even the LGBTQAI community, seeing my sisters walk down the street when I was 14 years old, not even being able to see my sisters walk down the street unless, you know, getting jumped or something like that. But now it's not even like that anymore. Everybody's moving freely, and that's the change that I see outside of the music industry that makes me so happy. If it's happening outside of the industry, then that means there's some kind of influence from the storytellers and the creators like ourselves that are pushing people to do that.
And I think that's exactly right, and you touched on an important point. The obligation and the power we have as artists or creators to help drive the narrative, or to change the narrative, right? And tell different stories. And I talked a little bit about it, but opening people's eyes and minds and hearts through art and through music or through entertainment. I just recently returned from a trip to the Middle East, which was incredible. I was in Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Doha, and it really, really impressed me. I was overwhelmed actually with the effort that they put into finding common ground with other people. And they do this through culture, through arts and cultural diplomacy, and the outreach that they're doing through music and through art to try and generate sympathy or empathy and understanding between different cultures was something that I drew inspiration from outside of my industry. And I saw them building a church, a mosque, and a temple all in one shared area, so people could worship and see the commonalities instead of the differences. I went to a museum, I saw a Bible, a Torah, and a Quran all in the same case. This is in the Middle East where we think everybody's so conservative and so strict, and there are so many guidelines. So seeing that really made me understand the power and the soft power around music and culture and art. And I think, as you said, we have a great opportunity. And I think what you've done in your career already, and what I hope to continue to do in my career and then through the Academy, is to make a change and help people to see things differently. Do you feel that as a responsibility?
I do. I feel like it's a responsibility and an obligation. I feel like it's something that's imperative for us to do with the positions that we have. And for me, I know there's only one way for me to do it. I can't go back anymore. I only can go forward, and I have to have people know what leading by example looks like, you know, and the only way you can do that is if you lead. So
what motivates you to lead and to try and set an example and try and open doors and push boundaries? What is it that drives that?
Youth.
The next generation.
Yeah, I feel like they are the most important key to growth, change, understanding, and making a better world for even us when they get to a certain age, where we can sit down and we can actually see the fruits of our labor because they actually learn from us. And I feel like we're in a time where we have the space to do that. Things are changing, and we have the mindsets to encourage them to be themselves and speak up and still be respectful, but still have a voice for themselves. So I think the youth are the main focus for me, and that's what makes me feel like a leader. Adults, we can be a little crazy sometimes.
Adults are always crazy.
Right.
But so are the youth, by the way. So it's very similar to my story, because I still am a songwriter and a producer and in the studio every day. And then the opportunity came to work with the Recording Academy as a CEO. And it was a sacrifice that I was very happy to make because of the obligation that you just touched on. And it's, to me, I feel very fortunate to have been in this business for a lot of years and been able to make a living. But I see there's an opportunity to make things better and to make changes for the next group of people that are coming up into the industry, number one, and a chance to make things better for the whole world. But I think it's driven through art, through music. So for me, helping the next generation of music people come into the industry, have a thriving ecosystem to operate in and to make a living through, and then using that as a platform to do really, really important work. So that's why I'm here. That's why I took the job as a CEO of the Academy, because I truly believe in the power of music. And I truly believe if we don't act quickly and thoughtfully, the future of music could be in jeopardy as far as the way we know it. People are always going to make music. People are always going to love it. They're going to sing and dance and celebrate to music. But we have to make sure people are able to make a living doing it. They're able to make a fair wage. They're able to monetize it, protect their intellectual property. Those are the things that are very important to us at the Recording Academy, so that people like you and me can continue to do what we do.
Right.
And then another click out so that that can continue to help the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my excuse.
Well, I want to be on your team, sir. Shoot. I mean, I'm just saying.
I love it. What do you think are some of the steps that are being taken in Hollywood that are going to be helpful for the next generations? We're talking about the young kids.
You know, I think the best steps is that they're putting people in places that need to be in these places who have an understanding of music on a different level. I feel like they are opening spaces for individuals, even like me, to even stand up here, or not stand, but sit up here and have a conversation with you. I think those are the changes alone. And the conversations, the talkings, and hiring people who they've never hired before in certain positions that you would think, and having open dialogue about who they are, how they work in this space, their identity, making sure that they're taken care of in that space and that it's a safe environment. I think those are the natural steps that things are, you know, that push the narrative a little bit forward.
Right. And I think being in unique positions or positions that we haven't been in the past is a special opportunity, and it goes back to the obligation that when we are in these positions, we got to do it right.
Yeah.
We got to push hard.
Yeah.
Because these they haven't always been available to us.
It's true.
But there's been a little bit of a recent tendency for people to think somebody put us in these places as just plants or just temporary placeholders. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm not the kind of person to be a placeholder. You know, I just don't feel that right.
Me either.
But when people do have that mindset, or when they do have that outlook on things, that means it's very dated. And that means there is definite change that needs to happen when it comes to that. And I don't agree with that whatsoever.
No. I don't think anybody's going to put us in the position to be a puppet for somebody else at this point. And knowing you like I do, I don't think you would accept that.
No.
And I can promise you, I'm not going to have it.
Hey, well then we're on the same team. Okay, so now I'm on this team. I'm good with it.
But there's a thing. People accuse you. They say, oh, those are just tokens. They call us tokens. That's hurtful.
It is very hurtful.
You work your life to get to the point where you can do good and you can give back and you can make a change. You can make something different for somebody else. And then some of those same people are saying tokens.
Well, you know, I will say this, right? I had a moment that was a really defining moment for me, just all around. I was named Woman of the Year in Times. And, you know, I got a lot of flack for it because of me being a trans woman. And then I had to realize, well, my mother told me not to worry about that. I was like, this is the person who birthed me, and as I said before, has given me my stripes, right? And I was raised by her. Womanhood was instilled in me by her. So when I see all of these naysayers, like you said, I realize that I have to pay it dust, and I can't pay it any mind because I have a goal. And there are not only trans young girls that are looking at me, but there are also, in the ideas of what we know as in the LGBTQAI community, cis young girls looking at me. And if no one knows about that, that means biologically born female at birth. But
And what's the word again?
cisgendered.
Got it.
Right? And it's been used a lot, but a lot of people don't subscribe to it because they don't want to, and that's fine.
Right.
But that's how we as trans women differentiate ourselves from biologically born women, cis, right? But there are young cis girls and young trans girls looking to me. So I know whatever those people are saying about me or whatever they're creating, it doesn't really mean anything.
No.
Because the younger generation is coming up and they're seeing a girl up there doing her thing.
Doing your thing.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, that's great. Well, one of our goals at the Academy is to make sure a lot of women are able to do their thing.
Yes.
So we've been working on Women in the Mix, which is another program that we have to make sure that we have more opportunity, more pathways for women to find their way into the industry. What we found was there was a lot of interest and excitement and passion for the music business, probably similar to acting, but in music, there just weren't the opportunities. There were not enough women being mentored, not enough women getting the chance, not women being introduced to certain elements of the industry. So we've been partnering with many organizations. We've been financing, funding a lot of these organizations to try and create more opportunity for women so they can come into this industry, because the perspectives of different people is what makes music special. I think if you have the same people doing the same thing, whether that's in TV or movie or cooking or music, it's going to be very homogenous. It's going to be very bland.
Cycled.
Right.
Repetitive.
Repetitive. And so having different perspectives and having all the different spices in the stew is what's going to make it taste good. And so for us at the Academy, making sure that we are providing more opportunity for women. We're also setting an example for hopefully other organizations in or out of the industry to do some of the similar steps. One of our commitments was to try and invite and approve 2,500 new women members by 2025. We're 60% of the way there. We've done 1,700 new women voting members in our organization over the last couple of years. So big changes for us. Still a long ways to go, but we want to make sure that these are the things we're working on.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's exciting. So let's talk a little bit about the future.
Oh, yeah.
Because now we talked about the past.
Yeah.
We talked about where we are. Thinking about the future, I'm thinking of the Academy going forward and things we're going to do, not to make it all about us, but we talk about our show coming up April 3rd. The idea of gender-specific categories, something we haven't really touched on, but that's something that we had in the past. Now we're talking about the past again, sorry. We had it in the past, and over the last years, we started removing those. So instead of having a best female vocalist, best male vocalist, now we just have a best vocalist. So I think that's kind of a cool step, and as we go forward, I think you're gonna start seeing more of that from the Academy, but also from other parts of the entertainment industry. You believe that?
I do, and at first, I mean, there was a moment that was happening in the acting realm where they were going to do that too, and now that I've seen the music industry doing it, well, it's obviously a step ahead, and I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, even though I see myself as a trans, feminine, female, as a woman, I mean, I don't want to be subjected to just one category, and I know a male wouldn't either. Right. It's the vocals are an instrument. They don't have a gender to them. So it makes sense why you can take those away and actually focus on the true thing, which is the vocals.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
What do you think is the next barrier to break down, or do you see any other things that need a lot of work?
I think there needs to be protection and agency when it comes to women in general, cis and trans alike. There needs to be a broader amount of respect for women in the spaces on the work that women do in music and acting. And I think there needs to be more allies when it comes to us, because we don't have many allies. Most of the time, Black women are fighting for themselves, and I'm just going to keep it 100. You know what I mean? But and like I said, I do see the change, but I want to see it more, and I hope and pray that it happens quicker than I ever would think it would. Things take time, but that's the first thing I see, and allyship and awareness.
awareness is a big part of it, isn't it? Just education and
Yeah.
understanding. A long ways to go, but we've made good progress.
Like I said, you and every single person that's on that cover, that just made my life happy. I was looking at that cover and I was like, this looks like what I've always dreamed of looking at. A strong black man, a strong black woman, and a strong individual right next to all of them, diverse and just like powerful, honey, just powerful.
Who let us up there, right?
Well,
We kicked our way in.
but sometimes you got to kick the door down.
Yeah, we did, just like you've done. Talk about the recognition from the Golden Globes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Oh, snap. The recognition from the Golden Globe was an eye-opener for me because I have constantly been someone, even though I'm, living at large and all that other good stuff, there are insecurities that I have when winning an award like that. And being the first to win an award like that, and also thinking about the things that will come after me after I win an award like that, especially being labeled lead female actress. That it was amazing. I was speechless, but I also thought to myself, oh God, what's gonna come my way now? Like, what's gonna happen now? Goodness. But the reassurance of my family being there to uplift me in the moments and telling me that I deserved it and I worked hard for it, even when I didn't think I did. And I still think I don't work that hard, but I guess that's an artist for you because we always want to work.
Yeah, you want to do more, you want to be better.
Yeah, of course.
Don't settle.
Never. Well, I don't think I could ever do that. I want to be on the stage and all that.
Was your mom there?
Yeah, my mom, my dad, my best friend, all of my family members, all of the people that I really keep a close, tight-knit circle. They were all there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an unforgettable moment.
No, yeah, it's definitely unforgettable. It happened right after my birthday. It was the day after my birthday. So it's
Great
just like,
present.
oh, what a great start to the year. Come on here.
So what's your next goal for career-wise, and how do you think that will impact society? What are you going to do next?
Well, the next thing, and I'm sure you know this, the next thing is me really delving into my music. I've been really working on an EP/album because I realized that there's more songs on this project than I ever thought. But I want people to see the person behind MJ, who is Michaela J, the artist, the creative, the person who can express herself on a stage and entertain while making people happy and also doing what she loves.
Right.
So I think that's my next step, and I think I'm going to execute it pretty well. Got a little confidence.
And then the next award will be a Grammy.
Yeah, yeah, we striving for that.
You got your Golden Globe and you got your Grammy.
That little horn just in my hand, taking a little
Wouldn't
picture.
that be nice?
That would be nice, yeah.
So I feel like we touched on it, but do you think telling stories through music gives you an outlet that you don't have on the acting side, or how does it, what's the comparison there?
Yes, see, I mean, acting, I'm portraying characters that are not me. I'm portraying and telling stories of people who have not been seen, characters who may be fantastical and through fantasy and sci-fi, whatever the case may be. But in music, I'm giving a love letter or a soliloquy of myself through the writing of the songs that I create and with the producers and amazing team that I have. And that is the true essence of music. And I think, as you said, music is one of the most powerful, more powerful than acting. And I probably shouldn't be saying that, but I think it's the truth.
But you said it because you're playing somebody else,
right?
Versus telling your truth in your music, unvarnished, no barriers.
No barriers whatsoever. It's all me, and I have to be ready for that too, I guess.
It's great. Do you feel like there's been pushback to your music yet, or I guess it's still early in your musical career?
I think it's very early in my music career. I haven't gotten any pushback. I've gotten nothing but positive feedback from the single that I released, and it made me really happy to know that the step that I made in the music industry, people are ready to hear what else is to come.
Why do you think it's been such a difficult road for women in music? And again, acknowledging you're just getting going and you're on that path, but try and look at it through your perspective. Why is it so hard for women, and what have been some of the barriers that have needed to change to allow women to thrive in the industry? Now you see the famous women, the superstars, the singers, but we're talking about the day-to-day working musician or engineer or stage, just somebody working in music as a woman.
I think women in general are just not taken seriously enough and are seen as weaker, and that's just not the case. I mean, you see a lot of these strong artists out here, Chloe and Halle, Beyonce, Doja Cat, the list can go on.
Yeah, it's a
Megan
long
Thee
list.
Stallion, it's a long list. But yet and still, there's still that kind of ideal of not being taken seriously because of how we present ourselves and how we live within who we are and how we're comfortable with who we are. I think there's a strong element of that that plays into the patriarchal kind of like idea of how women are supposed to be, and that's just not true. Like,
Yeah.
we're powerful no matter if we're wearing a two-piece or we're wearing a beautiful ball gown. There's still power in us.
Right, right. And you're also equally, if not more creative, and you make some of the best art.
Well,
that's the thing. We're trying to just allow people the space to make art and to do their thing. At least I'm talking musically.
yeah.
I think they say, well, why is it so important that every different constituency is so equally represented? And it's important because everybody has a unique perspective. Everybody has something cool to share. And not seeing all of it is cheating ourselves. We're only getting a part of what's really out there. That's the whole fabric of life, is getting all the different mixtures and all the different input and experiences and being able to live that. And I feel like without it, we're lacking. And it's been that way for a long time. And in the past, it was that way, right? You only saw a certain type of movie. You only saw a certain type of role. Women could only do certain jobs. Black people could only play certain kind of roles in films. I think that's changing.
It is changing. It's changing tremendously. I feel like there's much more openness when it comes to us expressing ourselves through our artistry, and it just needs to be more. I could go on and go on for days, but we'd be up here for hours.
Well, one thing we're doing at the Academy is really investing in some of those women's organizations that are helping young women specifically. You know, groups like Girls Make Beats, and there's all these really cool organizations that are intent on helping young women find opportunities in the business and get exposure to different jobs. You know, engineers. An engineer is an incredible role in the industry, and you have to have an amazing engineer, whether you're a singer or a classical violinist. Engineers are critical to this industry, and we have so few women engineers. So we've got great organization. Ann Mancilli and Alicia Keys have an organization that just help women find their way into the industry with training, internships, opportunities, education. Those are the types of things that the Academy is supportive of, and we see the importance. And it all goes back to my original point, which is not having the complete story is really cheating us out of some incredible, incredible opportunity.
Very, 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 very true. And I didn't even know that Alicia Keys had an organization like that. I should know these things, but it's amazing to hear because it just opens up the diaspora a little bit more for us. Yeah,
she's got a great organization. There's a bunch, I'm sure, but 4 or 5 that we've been really heavily engaged with that are doing amazing things, and we make some contributions to them, and they do programs with us, and it's been eye-opening for a lot of people to really see the great work that they're doing, and I think we need to continue to focus on it even more.
Well, congratulations on the great work y'all have been doing, because it's amazing.
It's it's the beginning. It really is. And I think another example for us is the Black Music Collective at the Academy. We've also seen a deficiency in Black representation over the years, more on the membership and voting side, and we started to look at the data around who was involved in the Recording Academy versus what are the percentages of music being created and consumed. And we saw we had a deficiency there in our voting. So really trying to make sure that we're using the Black Music Collective to change that narrative and try and bring more relevant and contemporary Black voters to the Recording Academy, which then in turn affects our nominations and our winners. So that's something that, to touch on the point of transformation, the importance of representation, something that we've been really focused on doing is looking across the music ecosystem and seeing, are we representing all the different groups, all the different genres, different constituents, different genders, ages, regions? Are we doing it accurately and fairly? And in the past, I don't know if we always did a great job of that. And so now we're starting to really focus on it.
Listen, I mean, the amounts, and when I say amounts, immense amount of female artists that I've seen compared to 10 years ago. Never seen it, and I'm seeing it now, and I'm proud to see it, and I can say I see all of these strong women up here doing their things, and not to mention women of color too. And music, I mean, has always been this huge, diverse, kind of like umbrella, but seeing women really be in the forefront like how I've never seen before. Cardi B and, like I said, Megan Thee Stallion, strong. It's good to see.
Brandy Carlisle.
Yeah.
I saw Brandy Carlisle. Do you listen to her music?
I don't listen to her music, but I know who Brandy Carlisle is.
Killer, yeah. A lot of great women singers right now.
Yeah, a lot of freaking talent.
Yes, there always are.
Yeah, there are.
There always are. Well, it's amazing. I think this has been really insightful and really, really thoughtful. I love hearing your opinion. We could probably go on.
I feel like we could
all
for
day.
Days.
We should probably take a couple questions though and see what's happening on the question board here. First question says, are there any current influences that have impacted your creative process? What do you think, Michaela? Any current influences?
I will say working with Verdine White, I've been working with Verdine White. Legend. And Neil Pogue as well.
Another legend.
Yes, and working with them and looking at how they work within the studio and seeing how their minds work, that's been nothing but an influential push for me. And I mean, legends and icons. These are people who have been here for years and still making it happen, making music sound good or elevating it in ways. And I want to do that, and I look to them. So I think that's
good inspiration.
It is.
I'm trying to think, my inspiration is usually me getting in a fight with my wife or somebody getting mad at me. My inspiration does come from daily life, walking down the street and somebody will say something, I'll hear it, and then I'll be like, oh, that sounds like a really cool song, or something will happen to me. Or traveling is very inspirational to me, seeing other cultures, seeing the way people look at things differently. Those are all things that are really, really inspiring to me. It's funny when you make music, and you said it, it's very personal. You're exposing yourself and you're putting your emotions, your feelings right out for everyone to see. And I don't have a problem with it because I'm not the artist. I'm the writer, and I can hide behind,
you're right behind the scenes,
whoever's singing it. But sometimes it's difficult if people don't like what you do. You feel the inspiration, you feel the passion, you create something from your heart, you put it out, and then people are like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I get so worried about that.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, because as any artist, they want their stuff to really resonate and at least speak to someone,
Only thing you can do is keep making it.
Yep, that's true.
See, another question. What skills are the most useful in the industry?
Well, I'll say this is the only thing I feel like anyone in the music industry should know, and it's music theory. That is key, essential. You have to know your music, because if you don't, then you'll be a lone fish in this big old pond trying to find your group.
So study and educate yourself.
Yes, important. What about you?
I think a skill that's most useful for me is relationship building and interpersonal relations. A lot of music in the industry works around collaboration. And being able to not only create with somebody else, but also just have somebody see your perspective, whether that's in the studio and you're trying to write lyrics, or you're trying to make a deal with somebody or negotiate a business point. Being able to get along with people and being able to treat people professionally and with respect. There's a longevity that comes along with you being a person of your word and being somebody that's easier to work with, as opposed to somebody so egotistical and so strong-willed and my way's right and I'm the best. That doesn't play well to me in the industry. So I think that's a skill that I would say is very important.
I agree 100%.
Being able to get along, being able to collaborate, and having an awareness of how to have a relationship with somebody else. Very important. Let's see. What do you hope to see happen or change in the industry in the next 5 years? That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Next 5 years.
In the next 5 years, what? I think I'm going to let you answer that question. I got a lot to think about when it comes to that.
The next 5 years, I would like to see there be more opportunity, and I think it's happening. And the other reason it's happening is because some of the barriers to entry into the industry have changed because of technology. I think the ability to make your own music on a laptop, to record your own music on home microphone setup, to distribute your own music without a record company or somebody saying, oh, I don't really like it, is going to provide more opportunities for more people, more diverse people, different voices, whether that be more women, more trans, more black, any of the minorities are now, there's no withholding or stopping people from doing what they want to do. So in the next 5 years, I think I'm looking forward to seeing more people have the opportunity to enter into music or entertainment, because the same goes for film and television. You can make movies for cheaper, you can edit your own films, you can distribute things now. So that's what I'm looking forward to the next 5 years, and I think it's happening pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would say intersectional, like collaborations. All diasporas of people coming into a studio together and working on something.
Yeah.
Different walks of life,
I love
everywhere, all around.
When I was in Doha in Qatar, I got a chance to hear some music, and there was 3 languages in the same song. They were in Arabic and French, and the chorus would be in English. And I was so excited by that. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And they're having the World Cup in Qatar, so a lot of the music is very global. It's very high energy stadium music. But to hear all those languages in the same song, that must have been a great recording session too.
That's what I'm thinking. See, that's exactly what, and it's amazing to see what happens over in another continent, because you were in another continent. It's amazing to see different kinds of just groups of people and how they maneuver around each other in a different continent compared to where we're at.
Right.
But
that's what I love about music or art, is all those people came together in the studio to make a trilingual song.
Yep.
Probably didn't understand everything everybody was saying, but they were all like popping their head to the same music. They're all getting hyped about the same song. And they might have left the studio with a different opinion of the person they were sitting right next to.
It's true.
And I think music, sports maybe, but music is the thing that does that more than anything.
Yeah.
And when you're listening to a song, or when you're creating a song, or you're at a concert, you're standing next to a guy or a girl or somebody standing next to you, and they're fully tatted out and buzz cut, and then next to you might be somebody mini skirt and ponytails.
Yep.
And, everybody feels the same way, and everybody says we're more alike than we're different.
Yeah.
And music does that.
Yeah.
Music really does that. So hearing those songs in 3 languages was pretty impressive.
It's kind of dope that they did that too.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's see. Your work on Pose was truly representative of your work towards inclusivity. Would you ever consider working in TV and film from an executive production level? Good question.
That is a good question. I think right now I'm a little young. I need a little bit more experience. I would love to do that at some point when down the line, when I have more to learn and more under my belt.
Yeah.
I think I'm capable now, but I also want more to do, and I have a set plan on what I, as Michaela J, want to do for myself. So yes, down the line, but not right now.
Good answer. For me, the question wasn't intended for me, but I'll answer anyways. The idea of being able to executive produce or oversee something is a step I think you're going to love, because you can really have a hand in pointing it in a certain direction. You can tell the stories that you think are really important. As an actress or a singer, you have to sometimes do either what somebody else thinks you should do, or the songwriter thinks you do, or the studio thinks you should do.
Yeah.
As an executive, you can say, this is my belief, this is where my heart's leading me, this is the story that I think is so important to tell. And you can champion it on a business level as well as a creative level in a different way. So I'm looking forward to you actually doing some creative production, executive production, and taking your vision and your perspective and like blowing it all the way out. I think
Well,
that's
now
the
I'm
next
not
step.
afraid, now that you said it, sir.
Yeah, I think it's there for you. All right, let's see. We got a couple more questions here. What advice do you have for parents of artistic trans teenagers?
I think the most important thing when it comes to parents and their children is to love them and also hear them. Sometimes they can be a trip. We all know how kids can be a trip, but the more important thing is that you should listen versus hearing what they are hearing. I was talking about this earlier. When you hear someone, most of the times the words just go over your head and you're just looking at them. But when you're listening, you're engaging, you're taking everything in. So especially when it comes to a child, because children have so many things. They have a broad imagination. They have all of these beautiful, creative ideas. And I like to think that, a person who is young and trans, they have more of a sense of self because they have to really come into understanding themselves as a trans person. Right. And I think a parent should love on them when they do, so that the kid can flourish and blossom the way they need to. But that's with any child. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, that's every child.
Right, that's with every child.
To that question, I think it's almost not specific to trans children.
It's not, really.
A lot of love, a lot of confidence, and support, and belief, right? Mm-hmm. I have 2 kids, but I don't know anything.
Right.
So what were some of the lessons that you learned from your parents early, and some of the difficulties that you had growing up as a trans person, and how did your parents handle that? Maybe that's a good direct answer to the question. Give them some examples.
Yeah, I would say it was mainly the world that wasn't ready for me. My parents were the ones that were totally on board because I was their child, nothing else, just their baby. And I think what my parents did with me was instill grace. They instilled sophistication. They instilled a work ethic. And sometimes they didn't have to say it. I watched them. And they led by example. Yeah. When they were working, I was like, I need to work like them and show them that I'm going to be able to do this down the line. And when they saw it, they were happy with it. So I think that's the most important goal when it comes to a child, is watching them learn after you, and what you instill in them, even when you don't even say a word.
Yeah. So when you would have hard times or something would get you down, you would take it to your parents and they would make you feel better. They would give you the love and support that you needed.
I would run to them. Mommy, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what happened to me on the street today. You know what I mean? And she would always tell me, don't worry about that. Keep your head focused, keep your head held high, and focus on the main goal and the bigger picture. You love art.
So maybe that's the answer. Your parents have to support you. Your parents have to tell you to keep your head up. Your parents have to tell you to focus on the main goal.
Yeah.
So that's the advice you would give to parents?
I would. I mean, there's so much more. I mean, I think, especially specifically when it comes to a trans person, because it's different. I mean, all children are one, but when you are a trans child, or when you are a gay child, or when you are a part of the LGBTQAI community, it can get a little murky sometimes for a parent because they don't truly expect their child to
They might not have the experience.
Understand. But the most important thing is to not completely separate that, but see them as your child first.
Right.
And listen.
Yeah.
And love them.
A lot of love.
A lot of love.
It's great.
You'd be surprised how much love actually works.
Love it. This is an impossible question.
Uh-oh.
It says, what do you like most about music?
Yeah, that is an impossible question.
Impossible.
That is hard. I mean,
that's like asking me what was my favorite song.
Right.
I could never answer that question.
Yeah, because I got a lot of those in my head.
A lot of them. What I like most about music, I think it is a hard question, but something I love about music is there's a song or a moment in music for everything.
Yeah.
There's like the feel-good songs when you want to feel good. There's the breakup song when you've just gone through something. There's the dance song when you want to just go crazy. So the variety of music and the way that music can tell every story and create and amplify every emotion is what I love about music. It's similar in movies. Like if you want to sit and eat ice cream and cry, there's a certain movie you'll watch.
Yeah.
If you want to laugh and feel good, you'll watch a movie. But that's how music is. And that's what I love about music, is how it always taps right in to the exact right emotion just when you need it.
Yep, you can go anywhere. If you're, like you said, if you're upset, you can go to an angry song, you can go to some metal and play some metal.
Yeah, and jump around.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying exactly what you're saying, but for me, I felt like music is transcendent. Like it really transcends beyond a lot of other, artistic endeavors. I feel like it is one of the most powerful tools and one of the most powerful kind of like sounds. It's the most powerful thing ever, I believe.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we're here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yep.
I know how powerful music is, and my favorite thing about music is that it can make such a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
You've heard probably stories of people who said, that song really changed my life.
Yeah.
or that song saved my life, or brought me out of something that I didn't think I was going to make it out of.
Yeah.
I think the power of music is my favorite part about music.
Yeah. It's very powerful.
Good, we answered it.
We surely did.
All right, let's see, we got a couple more questions. Harvey, who is someone that reflects your hope in what the future of music will turn into? Oh, Michaela J is somebody who reflects my hope, honestly, because I want music to be there for everyone. I want it to be available to everyone who wants to make it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are, what you are, you should be able to make music.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe that music is a powerful outlet. I think it's a powerful tool to tell stories, but also to express yourself. So you definitely are somebody that has been able to use music, even early in your career, to express yourself, to share your point, share your perspective. And why I would answer the question with you is because I think it will also give people a chance to see things differently.
Yeah.
And we talked about that a lot, using music to change minds and change hearts. And I think if in making music for you, you've given the opportunity to another musician or artist who didn't think they could make it or was not sure if they were going to be able to do it, I think that you've done your job. So that's my answer. I'm sticking with it.
Stick with it. And I'm going to stick beside him.
All right, let's say, this says, Harvey, what is the biggest risk that you've ever taken in your career? But I'm going to ask you, Michaela J., what is the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Oh, snap. What's the biggest risk you've taken in your career? Saying no. The power of no, I've realized recently, is a very strong thing. And you have to be able to take that risk and knowing that there will be space possibly, or not. But you have to be firm in what you believe in and what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And also knowing that even though you said no to it, the risk of that can also lead to a wonderful, beautiful door opening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the power of no.
I'm horrible at saying no.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just have a hard time.
Okay.
I'm always like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll do it. Biggest risk for me was probably driving to Los Angeles after college, trying to convince people to listen to my music and just running around the city, not knowing what the heck I was doing. Trying to convince people, like,
were you out there like giving like CDs and stuff?
It wasn't even CDs, it was cassettes.
Cassette tapes, right? This is right. This is true.
That's how long ago it was. But I remember talking about risks. A couple people called the police on me because I was basically a stalker. I would follow the executives from record companies home, and then I would put cassettes in their mailboxes. And then one gentleman had a convertible. And so I followed him out of the parking garage, and when I pull up to the red lights, I would throw my cassettes
At his car.
in his car.
Well,
So
sometimes.
that was my biggest risk.
And I'm sure it worked, huh? It had to work.
It did, actually. One of those people let me into the office and listened to my demo, and he ripped it up. He told me it was horrible, but he gave me the chance to understand what I should have been doing with my music, and I'll never forget it. So one of the biggest risks led to that opportunity. So
Look at that.
it worked.
Look at that.
Good. We have maybe one more question here, and this is a perfect question to end on. What else would you like to accomplish in the future?
I think what else I would like to accomplish next in the future is opening up possibly a space for youth of all different walks of life and letting it be a creative space for them, letting it being a creative outlet for them to go to when they don't have any, because a lot of youth don't have creative outlets.
Yep.
You know, they can't really express themselves in that way. And that I feel like I would open up an organization or open up like a Boys and Girls Club, or not even a Boys and Girls Club, just an open
club.
space, a club
Yeah.
for kids to just go and run wild and be creative and be free. And,
That's great.
you know, then go home and be tired and go to sleep so they don't have to bother their parents, you know, because I would want that. I don't want my kids coming home and bothering me. But yeah, I think I would do that.
That's great. I think for me, what I'd like to accomplish is to continue to make a difference in the world through music,
Yeah.
and through understanding and commonality around humanity. It sounds very lofty, I know, but I've been making music my whole life, writing hundreds, thousands of songs, working with so many artists, and I've been very lucky. I feel very fortunate and thankful. And so in the future, I hope that I could give back, I could help people. It's one of the reasons that I love my work at the Academy, because the Academy is a special place. The things that we do at the Academy provide so many opportunities for so many young music people like you or like me to come up. The advocacy, the fighting for the rights in DC,
Yeah.
the museum and the education, the preservation work that we do, so important. The Music Cares, the philanthropic give back arm of the Academy. You know, last year during COVID, we gave back $30 million to music people who needed help. So in the future, what I want to accomplish is to do more important work for more music people, so that we can continue to change minds, change hearts, and bring people together.
Well, I think you're on that right path, my good sir.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. This is amazing.
This has been big fun.
It has. It has.
We'll have to do it again.
I'm down for it.
All right.
I'm totally down for it.
Thank you, Michaela J. It's good to be
Of course.
here
Same
with
here.
you. All right.
Same here.